Hi, I'm Cinnamon Cooney, the Art Sherpa. This is Heart Party, and in about an hour, I'm going to teach you how to do this glamorous, funkalicious owl in acrylic paint. Super easy, super fun, super now. Grab your brushes, grab your paints, come back, and do this with me right now. All right, come on. We just lost footing. Oh, hey, I'm glad you came back. I'm Cinnamon Cooney. I'm the Art Sherpa. I'm going to show you how to paint this hysterical, glam, fabulous owl the same way I'd show you how to get up a mountain, just one step at a time. We're going to break this down into simple steps, and if you're a new painter, if you're a beginner painter, if you've been just going to paint nights and thought you might like to do some more of that in your house, this is perfect for you. We're ready to help you out, and you're going to love doing it. So what we're going to have is an assortment of brushes. You can get a package of economically priced acrylic brushes, and as long as you have an angle and some squares ranging from about an inch down to a tiny detail, you're going to be pretty good. I've got 16, Filberts here. I've got a little 6 square, but my big brush that does the heavy lifting on this is my 1/2 inch angle brush. So we'll be doing a lot of the painting with that, and I've got like a number 6 detail. I'll let you know what the brushes are as I'm painting with them. Plus, I always like to list them in the descriptions. My paint colors, I tried to keep stuff that you guys could get this time and not get too crazy with the colors. So we have the basic cad yellow, phthalo blue. This one is, I always forget it, is the Mars black, yellow ochre, also sometimes called ochre oxide or iron oxide, cad red, and then this is alizarin crimson. I have a dioxazine purple, a titanium white, and a burnt, not raw, sienna. All right, so that's the color palette, and that's all it takes to do the owl. We're going to talk about making things your own and kind of getting this done your own way because, sweetie, this is art. It's not class, and you get to put yourself in whatever you do, and this is where I want you to celebrate who you are and what you're about. I'm just going to help you survive this painting and make it really easy to do. So the first easy thing, the super first easy thing that we're going to do is we're going to pick up our nice big Filbert, what size is this? Our number 16 Filbert. When you see it listed on a page, it says rounded edge because it gives us a soft edge. And this is an Ebony Splendor by Creative Mark. But look, you're looking for a package that says for acrylic paint. Just don't get them for watercolor. Just make sure it's for acrylic paint. And you want a reasonable flick back on those bristles. That's all you're looking for. You got your cup of water here. Acrylic paint uses water to thin. Takes up to a 30% thinning. But those of you who follow my daily painting know I really push the limits of that little mark there. And we're going to make this beautiful background. I have just sewed over a painting I wasn't in love with to get this white canvas today because sometimes I like to recycle that way. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little of my iron oxide and my white, right? And I'm going to come right here in the middle. And I'm just going to do circles radiating out because I want that radiating background. Now, one trick that I get that sometimes new artists don't know to get is I allow a certain amount of random imperfection in whatever I'm doing. Doesn't mean perfection is not awesome. All of you perfectionists, dude, we'd never get our cabinets organized without you. Celebrate yourselves. You're awesome. And if you need to have a little more order in your background sky, nothing but love for you. Don't worry, I don't get upset. Remember, I am here I got Facebook, I got Pinterest, I got Twitter. I got every way you can get a hold of me. I answer questions. I give encouraging support. I don't criticize. I don't say junky stuff to you. And I think you're going to find mostly when you post on social media, mostly when you share your artwork with people, you're going to find most people just love that you're being creative and that they love that you're sharing a real personal part of yourself with them. You're gonna have mostly very nice people. Like to say there's a couple people in our lives that call themselves jokers. They're being funny. They're so funny. And they like to say stuff like what they think things look like. And really, it's not that funny. You know who they are. Very often we're related to them. The biggest jokers in our lives. Our friends are pretty supportive. But sometimes, you know, the people you're closest to, they share more of their feelings. So see how we're just painting that? So I'm just going out in concentric circles. I'm painting on the edge of the brush like that. On the flat of the brush there, so that I'm getting a nice big wide thing. And when I'm mixing the paint, I'm dipping fairly often in the water so that I get a nice flow. And I'm just going for it. That's the fun of this, is I'm just going for it. Having fun going for it. The treatment I've done on this canvas to paint over the old one is called gesso. You can buy a tub of it fairly cheap. And I like it when you're painting a lot to have some around, because sometimes you'll paint something and you won't love it. It's okay not to love everything you create. This is not like children or like pets. This is just art. It's just a process. We're just making it. You know, we're not stressing out. You may hear my children in the background. I have 3 children that I love very, very much. And they're all very creative. They all paint quite a lot. I love that about them. They may make a lot of noise. My son is in a phase where he likes to scream about everything that makes him super unhappy. Just so you know, they are supervised. It may sound like they've gone mad out there, but they're actually really well supervised and cared for and loved. So at home, don't be stressed out about what's going on. I got it covered. Most of us don't live in secluded, architecturally designed art studios with big glass walls where we are treated to quiet and serenity with no noise. Most of us don't have that. Some of us do. God bless them. Bless them. Some of us have that. Some of us get that privilege, and that's wonderful, but most of us are just living our lives in chaos, not tranquility. And so if we're going to be creative, we got to figure out how to do it in the noise, in the corner of our house. And you guys have been sharing that corner of your house with me. I love seeing your workspaces, the tables that you set up at, the little corners that you make, the art studios that you guys build. You guys get into these painting parties. Let's everybody just give a light and love to the painting party world. You guys get into these painting parties and you realize, oh my God, I love art. I love being creative. How did I not know that? We didn't know that because somebody was really crummy when you were young and said something just awful, and now you have an art scar. You'll hear Oprah talking about art scars. You'll hear Brene Brown talking about art scars. You have these little art scars, and you decide that was painful and unpleasant, and you stop painting, even though you know that's something that you like. Do you see how, like, sometimes I get more of the ochre on my brush? What I do is I break up. Break up. How I mix this paint, and sometimes I have more white on it, which is why we have the palette cam, so you can sort of see these weird little on-the-fly artist decisions that I'm making that come from having done this just a shocking amount of time, that we're not gonna say. And you know, and because I have that experience, I'm just sort of used to going, oh, well, I'll go darker now, or oh, I'll go lighter now. But if you're new, it can be a nerve-wracking set of decisions, right? Okay. There we go. We have our background in. Now you can paint around the edges If you're choosing not to frame, that's perfectly acceptable. I hope you can frame. I just filmed the metric for all the amazing countries around the world that I'm being watched in. I'm like blown away by some of the countries that are watching YouTube and are watching art and are finishing paintings. Like, I just love it. And if you're far, far away, I would love it if you shared and tell me about your art experience. I'm waiting for that. I'm drinking coffee of no particular brand. I'm not endorsing anything. I might have a bit of a problem with my needing of caffeine, but that's where we're at. The other stuff I have today, just so you know, I have a measuring tape that helps me talk about size relationships. So I dropped a brush, so I'll get another one. I have a couple pieces of chalk, and as I talked about on my doodle, hey, sidewalk chalk will work for you. And I have a hairdryer. And to do the next part, I want to be able to sketch in my branch first for you guys, and I'm going to show you how to draw it there, and I'm going to show you up there, but to do that I got to dry. So let's dry. Oh, that went shockingly fast, the magic of time lapse. Now I'm going to show you here, gotta put this out of the way somewhere where it's safe while I show you something. Alright, so I'm going to draw this right here, the tree. Here's my little tips about getting this branch in. So we're going to be coming in from the right hand side, going across the bottom and then curving up at the left. My recommendation is to figure out a spot about 1 inch from the bottom of your page, and you're going to come around and come around. Try to, not be, branches are kind of odd little things, and you want to make sure that you're, being odd too. So I've got my curve of the branch. And I'll come up about 1 inch. Now the thing about branches and trees, if you've done my tree class, you know this, they get skinnier as they grow out. And everything that's attached to the previous structure is smaller and skinnier than the structure before it. So it's ever diminishing. So when you're doing these, right, so there you get your base in, you paint that in, and then you can say, all right, well, I want another branch coming off here. All right, maybe one comes down here. You're making it twiggly. See, I'm getting smaller and smaller. Put one up here like this. I also like to balance them out with little bits, and then we'll put the leaves in. So things to think about when you're doing this. Oh, if you like this, I actually made this with my husband. We as our date activity would turn pens. Got a little lathe and got into pen turning. And this is my beautiful sketch piece that we did there. All right, so I'm going to put this in. Now, if you're new to art, go ahead and sketch it in with your chalk. Yeah, I'll freehand it in with paint in general, but you should sketch it in. And I'll show that with my little chalk here. Make sure I'm dry. You can always tell if it's dry if it's not shiny, and when you touch it, it's dry. So give yourself about at least 2 fingers. Make a little mark about 2 fingers up, and that'll make sure that you have enough space between the bottom of your canvas, for your branch. And just make a little mark. And I don't try to be level because my branches aren't. And I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to just bring this one up like this. I'm going to come up about 1 inch. You can do 2 fingers. Unless you have like crazy big fingers, and then come up with another measurement you feel is about 1 inch. Okay. See, and I'm just getting skinnier and skinnier and skinnier as I'm going up on my twig a little bit. I've got to give my owl something to sit on, right? So I get that in, and that's going to let me put the rest of my structure in, right? Where you're going to struggle is you're going to be in a fight between the beautiful, perfect branch that's inside your mind versus what's maybe initially coming out. And I want you to be forgiving and kind to yourself. This is the one place we need to be nice. Number 2 is, in my experience in teaching people, they tend to go short with the branches. So go long, okay? Let them grow a little bit longer. You'll like it artistically a lot better, and, you'll enjoy it more. Now, I'm going to go ahead and paint this in now. You may go ahead and sketch your entire structure if you're at all nervous. So I'm going to take a little bit of my black and over to my raw sienna. Now notice here, I don't mix in the middle like some crazy person, because that would use up all my paint. I come from the outside edge, getting small amounts of paint that I have control over. And this allows me to mix a color easily, right, that I have control over. And I'm going to come over. Now I'm going to paint on the edge of my brush. And this gives me a thin line. Couple of brush strokes that I can get. If I paint on the edge, short bristles facing first, I get thin lines. If I paint on the wide, I get thick lines. If I go pushing hard, I get thick. And then if I go light, I get this. Practice your brush strokes. Get familiar with what you think your tool might do. Because look, art is not actually talent. That is something people think that's not true. It's not. I know. You're like, what? No, woman, you're crazy. Art's totally talent. I've tried it. It has to be talent. No, art, like math, is just a set of skills. It's just a set of fundamental skills and understandings that you learn and develop over time. Talent is what's going on in your heart and your soul, and the story that you're telling with those skills, right? What story are you telling with your skills? And that's what people really equate to talent, is your personal story that starts to come out in the art. And believe you me, you know, I paint my way, you should paint your way. Your story should come out in your artwork. Don't get caught up in the crazy nonsense that everybody wants you to get caught up in. I'm curving my little branch up. Now, how I get my line thinner and thinner as I'm going up on the edge is I'm going to lighten up pressure. And if I lighten up pressure, it thins my line. See? So that's how I can get an easier, thinner line. Look. You cannot use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. That's Maya Angelou. It's a smart chick, okay? The more you use, the more you have. Imagination is infinite, and we were all given imagination. You have imagination. Now I'm going to come right here at the bend, and I'm going to make another little branch going out. And I'm going to go ahead and take that little one right off the canvas. Okay? Now I'm going to fill up right here, going lighter, lighter, lighter. I'm going to come off here. And I might want a little branch down here. And I get those branches twigglier by lightening my pressure. You just play the Queen song in your head about being under pressure. La, la, la. It's just awesome. You love it. Oh. Okay, so up here I need to balance this out. I'm going to come up and make a little twiggly bit here. Twiggly, 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 twiggly. Yeah, it's just like that for me. I just twiggle it up. All right, so there I got a nice little twig structure for which I can sit me a happy owl later. I'm going to rinse out my brush, okay, because I want that to dry for a minute. I'm going to take another sip of my super juice. My Java of Dada. That's an art joke. Dada Java. Okay. It's probably a little art joke. I take a lot of deep breaths. Because art is a little bit meditative. You're meditating a little bit when you're art, like a walking meditation. You're breathing, you're relaxing, you're letting it go. I'm going to dry my branch here so I can put my owl in. Okay, so I'm going to draw in my owl, and the owl is based on the circle. If you're having a panic attack because you're thinking the last time you tried to draw a big circle and you're thinking it looked more like an odd shape or an amoeba or an egg or anything but a circle, just go ahead and get out a nice paper plate about that big and trace around it. Don't even freak yourself out. This is art. This is fun. This is not freak out and fail and like lose our minds time. This is have a good time with our friends, eating chocolate and enjoying ourselves. So the owl starts out as a nice big fat circle, and I'm gonna sit him down here or her down here and bring this nice circle around. I'm gonna leave myself about 4 fingers at the top, at least in my initial circle, so I have room for a head. My experience, the fatter the better, so if I didn't fatten my owl enough, I'll fatten it out. See that there? I'll draw it on my paper if you're not entirely sure. Then I'm going to, from about this upper third, I'm gonna add a little mountain, still leaving about 2 fingers. So I'll say that's, or a finger at least. Okay. Right up here. Now I want you guys to know something. This owl is a hoot to draw and has a real crazy cockroach stage where it looks exactly like a freaky cockroach. Love your owl during its ugly stage. Love it. Be kind to it. Be good to it. It needs you. All right, right here, I'm going to put 2 big circles for eyes. We're not going to put any expressions in the eyes yet because I'm going to have an expression class. For this particular owl, I'm going to do the Eddie Munster Widow's Hump. I'll add the feathers out the sides later for the great horned effect. And then from the side here, right, I'm going to come and do 2 half hearts. All right, 2 half hearts. Try to line them up, keep them somewhat symmetrical. All right, and then the top of a heart here for the belly, and then a downward triangle for the beak. Now I'm drawing in black chalk so you can see what the heck I'm doing. You don't need to do that. I'm going to show you real quick again how we get this owl in. Using my awesome drawing tool. So I've got this little branch up here. So the first thing I'm going to do is the circle. I'm going to add the mountain on the circle. 2 big eyes, maybe a little farther apart than that, but 2 big eyes, 2 wings, the heart here, and a downward beak. Okay? And Eddie Munster up here. All right, now the more fat your owl is, the more adorable it is. If you make it longer and thinner, you know, the more it's going to look one way. Try to make sure you've got space between here. Like I got these 2 close together, so I might space those back. And that's why you can do this in chalk, because you can just paint over it. Didn't get your wings big enough or hardy enough, you can hard them out. And so that's how he's going to sit there, and that's your basic structure for your owl. Okay, that's just your basic deal. Okay, now we got to paint in some basic fields here of owl. All right, so that he's drawing, and then we'll do some detail on our branch. And how we get that is I am going to choose pink belly, blue wings, orange face, purple top, and these blue eyes. I'm going to show you some examples of something. I do these a lot. I do daily paintings. You can see them on my Facebook page. I try to get a painting done nearly every day, and I try to post it. If it's been a crazy week, it slows down, and if it's been great, I get one up every day. This little guy, look at the colors I chose. I chose polka dots. I did these Icelandic blues. I did him sort of angry in the eyes. I just made him that way. And this one, right? Oh, I made him sad. I did drippies. If you've taken my tree class, you understand the drippies thing. And I did all these fun patterns. And I did this crazy sky. There is a lot of options for these creatures. They can have all kinds of personalities. They can reflect who you are. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of your talent, your creativity. Trust your instincts. It's a good thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the scotchiest amount of black, very little because it doesn't take a lot, to my phthalo blue. I'm going to bring a little bit of white over to it. And I'm going to get this dark blue right here. I'm going to come paint in my wings. Now, in this piece, I used some crazy colors like Prussian blue and all these like fun purples and stuff, and these historic colors that I got from Golden because I thought it'd be fun to use them. In this piece, I'm just trying to use some colors that you can get easily without difficulty. You know, I want a fairly dark blue, so it's a nice base to do the lighter colors on, but not so dark that I'll miss my pin feathers. So we'll use some purples and some stuff to mess with this. All right. So I'm painting on the flat, and that's how I'm getting these smooth things, and I'm paying attention to my brush stroke direction. So if I don't over mix my paint, and if I don't make Home Depot colors of uniform, perfect paint, then what I can get is some streaks in the paint, and that streaking, we call that painterly, gives an effect. And I want that effect. I want a little bit of that effect when I'm painting. So I work for it, and I try not to over mix my world here. Painting on my edge, short bristles, facing down, beginning the stroke. This is just like an eyeliner brush. If you like YouTube and you do a bunch of the tutorials, you may have noticed the eyeliner stuff. Listen, if you're a young person who's painting, awesome. Tell you what, art will get you through stuff. You know, you do not have to feel bad when you have art. You can get it out, you can let it out. That crying out, I did that when I was having a really bad day. Felt so much better after I did it. I got out how I was feeling, made a beautiful painting, felt right as rain. And I've been able to do that since I was a kid. And that's a gift a lot of kids who have the arts, if they have drama or if they have painting or poetry that they have, because, you know, grown-ups forget it is really hard to be a kid. There's so much pressure, and you haven't gotten to the place where you stop caring what everybody thinks. Until you stop caring what everybody thinks, life is challenging. I am going to rinse out my brush. I'm going to come over and get a little bit of, I'm going to take the white from where I have the blue in it here, and I'm going to come over to my purple, and I'm going to get a nice dark purple, but it's going to have a little bit of this tint in it. And I'm going to paint my Eddie Munster. I'm not going to get the little feathers in yet, quite yet. I'll get those in just a second here. I want to get this in first, make sure I've got a color that I like. Now, I'm probably going to do him fluffy. So cute and fluffy! Alright. Use a smaller detail brush to do that though. And that's a fun stuff. Alright. We have that in. Now here I'm going to get a little bit of my purple again, load up my brush. You know, you can move to a smaller detail brush if you want, but I'm going to flick up around my edges here about like this. Little tiny 1/4 of an inch. I'm making him fluffy. You may want to make him, these two are smooth. You may want to make him smooth. But I'm fluffing his little edges here. Fluffing his little edges. So I find birds that's feathers are ruffled to be significantly more funny. Plus, in my life, my feathers are often totally ruffled. And again, I get that little brush stroke because I'm going flick, 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 flick. I have light pressure as if my canvas has a sunburn. Talk about that a lot. If you've been painting with me, you're like, okay, your canvas is too much sun exposure and you need to put some sunscreen on it. Oh my God. If you haven't painted with me before, you're like, oh, be gentle to your canvas. Now I'm going to come here. My long bristles are going to fade in. My short bristles are going to face up. And I'm going to make these little feathers. The longest strokes are at the top. The shortest are here. If you're going to have a moment, it'll probably be here. Don't stress on it. Just have fun and give them feathers anyways. Don't try to be perfect. I'm going to show you right here. Shorter, shorter, shorter. Okay. Just give them some more little side feathers. It's fun stuff. You can keep them smooth. I've seen people turn these into Princess Leia. I think I've got some of these pinned up on my Pinterest page. If you want to see how other people are doing, go to the Pinterest page, see what they're putting up. Share your artwork with me. Go to my Facebook page. Tell me about it. Post it up there. Tell me what it was like, what you think. I will probably pin it to the Pinterest page with your permission. I may tweet it. You just never know. Stuff is fun. All right, so I'm going to do the belly now. I'm going to rinse out my brush. Rinse, 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 rinse. I'm going to take a little bit of this purple. See, I'm coming from the edge. Notice when I'm mixing my paint, I mix from the edges here. I come from the little outside edge, I grab a small amount, and I come over here and I grab a small amount till I get the color I feel good about. All right, I like this. Now here's the weird trick I'm going to do here, okay? In the belly, all right, I'm going to paint the dark part down low. Now listen up. If you do not have a high quality paint, like a high quality professional paint, which there's nothing wrong with that, but if you don't have one, its coverage is going to be a little thin. If you have bought like these or any of the student grade paints, paint your Allen white first. If you notice that it's not covering over your yellow, that's what's happening. It's not you. It's not like you're intrinsically unable to paint. It is only that you have a student grade paint, and so therefore how they get the cost down is less pigment. It's exactly what the painting parties use. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a good place to start, especially if you have a budget. I'd rather you were painting. Now I'm going to add a little more red to this. See, I picked up more red and I'm coming up here to this bridge point. The paint is all still wet. I paint on my edge here and on my edge here. I'm painting wide like this to get that brushstroke effect. And now I'm going to come over and I'm going to get some of my white. All right, and I've added some white to my brush. Look at that. Oh, my daughter is woken up from her nap. I hope that somebody hears her, or I'm going to have to run out and we're going to have to do the magic of edits, which is something that happens actually all the time. You don't care. As long as your video isn't longer, you don't mind. So you can see that where I just grab more and more white and a little bit of color, and I'm lightening as I go. I might come down here and I'm blending it and doing my little heart here. Well, I had a little purple on there, but I don't mind it. I like this effect. Ooh, I got a little blue. So if you get a color you didn't expect, just go wipe your brush off, rinse your brush off, come back, and blend it out. I'm gonna come back here with my red. Watch me, I'm gonna just get this out. I don't stress out in my paint. Another good thing you can do is to dry it. I have a lot of experience, so when stuff gets a little wonky on me, I'm like, it's fine. It's all good. Don't mind it. But you might be like, oh my God, this is freaking me out. Now I'm going to rinse out my brush. And I feel like while this is still a little bit wet, and you'll notice that I tap this on my paper towel, I'm going to take a little bit of my CAD, a teeny tiny bit of my yellow. So I have my CAD yellow, my CAD red, and then I'm going to get some of this white. And it gets me a little peach. And just here in the center of my belly, and this is very light. This is a very light brush stroke. I'm going to show you. Look, so light that you see the little hairs on the brush. And again, I get that from lightening up my pressure. And I don't have too much water on the brush. And this lets me have a little freedom. And because this still is wet, I get a little bit of blend in it. And I get this cool effect. And that's something that I like, and it looks really good. There we go. I wanted that there. So I'm going to rinse this out. Now, student paints is going to have to paint that white. And if you don't, you'll be all frustrated because there's no way student grade paint yellow is going to paint over like anything. You're always going to have to paint your yellow first. You're always going to have to add white to it. I'm making a little orange here. So this orange is going to have a lot more yellow than red. It's going to be a nice bright orange. And I'm going to paint up this space all around here. Now, if you used a crazy color kids chalk, sometimes the chalk will blend into your paint as your paint picks it up and seals it down and will affect the color that you get. Like my black chalk is getting into my paint. That doesn't bother me at all. I'm pretty comfortable with this, but it could be bothering you and giving you a heart attack. So then they go, this is just art. I know what I'm doing. I'm a competent individual. All kinds of people paint. I can do this. It's really about the story you're telling yourself. You know, every artist started out an amateur. I don't care how professional they are now. Every artist at some point was trying to draw something or paint something, and it was hard and it was upsetting, and they didn't know if they could go on, and they really questioned their reality. A lot of artists I know do this weekly. Sometimes I have moments like that where it's just hard and I don't know if I can do it. That's art. If you're feeling like, oh God, I don't know if I can do it, well then you're just an artist. That's all you are. You are just an artist. And if you're a kid, yeah, that's everybody. It shouldn't just be easy right off, starting off. This idea that adults have, that art is just a talent that you're born with, oh my God, that's so not true. I cannot tell you how many people I grew up with that did not naturally draw. I worked so hard for my art skills. I practiced so many horses. I poured over Walter Farr. I just wanted it really bad. It was just in me. It made my heart happy. It made my soul happy. I knew it needed to be part of my life. And yes, some of it came a little more naturally than it did to everybody, but some of the people I knew that did not have a natural time are amazing artists now, did not affect their outcome. The only thing that affects your art outcome is your determination. You know, are you willing to try? Are you willing to look silly for a second? Are you willing to maybe not necessarily realize your first goal the first time you try it? That's all art is about. You know, just be easy on yourself, man. You've got college admissions and all kinds of stuff to freak out about. You don't need to be freaking out about art. So, yeah. Talent is not something you're born with. Talent is the story your life builds for you. You can be really talented, live an amazing life. have an amazing imagination. Work on that. Work on your imagination. Intelligence is imagination, not knowledge. You're the physicist that stands out, you're an imaginative physicist. If you're the architect that stands out, you're an imaginative architect. If you're the financier that stands out, you're an imaginative financier. There's nothing in your life that imagination won't improve. If you can imagine you are owning your room, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, that's the soapbox I'm standing on today. Yeah, yeah. Imagination. That's the big deal, you guys. So I'm painting around my little triangle and I'm sort of shaping it. I'm using my imagination. The garden of my mind. The garden of my mind, as Mr. Rogers used to say, which most of you kids have no idea who I'm talking about. But he was awesome. Okay, so we've got some eyes there for some expression. We've got a branch that he's sitting on. We've got some wings to do some detail to. Some face we can do some detail to. A little beak to paint yellow. Let's paint that little beak yellow. I will do that with my little 6 or 5 or 4, whichever one you want to do, detail brush. Here's a trick. I'm going to add a little white to my yellow. And this is a good yellow, but I'm still going to add some white to it to give it some coverage. All right. Okay. And I might come in and do outlining and stuff there, but that's all good. Now, let's do some stuff up here. Okay, so one of the things that we can do up here is we can take a little bit of our white and a little bit of our color that we mixed over here, our little crimson weird color, with our tiny, tiny detail brush. Now, you could do this with your 1/2-inch brush, but I'm going to do it with this little brush. And I'm going to make little funny, they're like this. They're like this, little dashes on the tip of the brush. I do this on the tip of the brush. If I push the brush down, I get this. If I paint on the tip, I get that. Practice your brush strokes. All right, you're believing in yourself. You know that you can paint. You can handle little dashes. I'm going to take some of these out into my little funny ears and out into my little fluff. Oh, I like these little dashes, this little color. You could make it more pink. You can make it more white. Whatever makes you happy. Good Lord, just do whatever makes you happy. People need to get better at happy. This is a good way to do it. If you're working on happy, even miso processo. If you're working on happy, art. Art, 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 art. Woo, 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 woo. This is fun stuff. Okay, let's give our branch a little bit of detail while we're letting some stuff dry. All right, so the trick here with the branch, I'm going to get my, I'm going to get my just red sienna, my burnt sienna. My sienna that they toasted in the oven. No, they just added a little bit of a cooling agent to it, cooling color. And I'll even use my little detail brush here, or you could use any small brush. And I'm going to make I'm going to leave about the lower 1/4 inch at least to 1/2 inch. I'm going to make similar dashes on this branch to what I just did up in the hair. But one of the things I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to break it up. Let me show you. I'm going to try to, so I'm just doing this. Okay? That's all I'm doing. Light pressure, medium pressure. I'm just not trying to give it a tickle attack, but I got to get enough paint on there to get some paint on there. All right, tip of my brush. Now later, because his little big butt's sitting here, we're going to have to come back and add a shadow to that. But right now we're okay. Okay? And I'm adding some little Highlights even up here into the branch. Now, as you get into the little fiddly bits and you want to make sure that you're okay and you don't mess with the beautiful branches that you've done, just lighten up your pressure. Just lighten it up. If I could license that Queen song to pay every time we were talking about pressure, I would. But, you know, this is for free on YouTube, so not so much the licensing money, right, guys? So yeah, share this. Help me out. I'm doing it for free. You know, someday we hope to get a whole little broadcast going with this and take this on the road in like some sort of caravan motorhome and go heart party on the road. But to do that, I need your help. Can't do it without friends. If you're teaching these to your friends, you know, post them to my Facebook page. Go, thank you, Cinnamon. Just send me some love. You know, that's what all I need. Just send me some love. Let people know where you found it, where you found your new love of art. Get the word out there. You know, wear your funny hats. So I'm just doing little dashes and I'm keeping them light. Now I move along quickly because I don't mind if stuff is not all perfect in the lines. But if you are a person who has labeled everything in your kitchen, you might mind a lot. Did I move that too much? Okay. And it might be a big deal. All right, so we're going to go here. We're going to rinse this out for just a second. Whew. All right, I'm going to get there's one. I'm going to replace the one I dropped, which is like a 6 square, I think. So I've got this little square. I'm going to rinse. I'm going to come here to my blue. I'm going to add a little more black to it, blue and black, real dark this time, real dark, just a titch of the white. Oh my goodness, just kissed with it. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a little line from here to about here. Okay, and that's just so I know where to go, but I'm going to paint actually past it. I'm going to go like this. So I made my line so I had a guide of where the heck I was going. And I'm letting these brush strokes be a little bit streaky because I'm trying to create that effect. Real dark, darker than the wing color. Okay. See that? Darker than the wing color. Now I'm going to do it again. Get a little bit of white. Gonna here to about there. Make a very light guideline so I know where I'm going. You can do that with your chalk too if you're concerned about doing it with paint. The most important thing here is that you just relax and have some fun and enjoy yourself. I do have a little curve to the brush stroke that I'm doing. And then sometimes I'll come and turn my brush on the edge to clean up that edge along the wing if you need to. I might need a little white paint kind of streaked in there, so I come pick up some white and then see how I got that? I'll get a little more white over here. I'll put somewhere it's wet. So there we go. Got some little definition for those wing feathers. All right. Now what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to do some interesting things. I'm going to put out some more white for myself. I've got this tub and a palette knife, which is how I'm getting the white out today because I'm low on my tubes. Lots of ways to get out paint. They're all pretty good. And I'm going to make several different shades of these feathers. And the feather shape is really just a football shape. I'll show it to you. And they're just bigger and smaller, so like just blue and white here. Here's the feather shape. That's it. That's also going to be the leaf shape for later, just you know. So that's pretty good. So I got my blue and white here. I'm going to make a light blue and white. You see that? Just the phthalo blue and the white. And there's one there. You could do polka dots on the wings. You could do hearts. You could do zigzags. I'm going to come over to this side. Paint my little football. Okay. Maybe I'm going to add some purple to the mix into my white. Let's get some purple in there. All right, there we go. That's a nice color. A little purple, white, and blue. That should show up. Oh, that shows up really nice. Making these nice little footballs. My footballs are about 1 inch long, and then they get smaller. So they're kind of bigger in the middle and smaller at the edges, and that's how I'm getting that look. And again, I'm letting the paint be streaky. That's what I'm choosing to do. Now here, I'm going to rinse out a little bit. I'm going to do something kind of kooky. I'm going to take a little yellow over to my blue, and I'm going to make a green. It's dark green. And this blue here. So it's fairly dark. I'm going to get a little bit of white, and it gives me kind of a turquoise. And I'm going to add look at that. That's some fun stuff, right? These are pretty colors. Unless you hate turquoise, and then it's awful. And you hate everything I'm doing. And that's okay. This is art. It's not a $100 bill. It's not for everybody. I'm going to add a little more yellow to my mix. A little more white. And get kind of the spring green color. Look at that. My little pin feathers down here. I like that a lot. Making myself happy. Oh, I love that. So I got this pretty little feather thing happening here. That was pretty easy, pretty fun. And you're like, what do I get to do the eyes? Very soon, my friends, very soon. Now I've got this little square brush, and I don't feel like switching it out for my details, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my yellow ochre, just right here. Okay? And I'm going to come up in the upper part of the branch and add some of this. I'm not going to really do it that much under him because he's making a shadow. I'm going to come back and put a shadow anyways. And I'm pretty light with this because I've got yellow ochre in my background. And that can make my branch disappear, so be careful. Be careful with where it is. One of the things you'll notice is I won't make an implied line here. I'll break the line, allow the dark shadow to be there. Right? What I've done is I'll break the line, allow the dark shadow to be there, and then go on. So see, I'll leave a dark shadow there and a dark shadow there. Leave the line, allow the dark shadow to be there. Because sometimes we'll get to painting and we'll just paint right through a line where there just wouldn't be one. You don't want to do too much of this because I'll make that disappear. I'm going to rinse it out. Rinse, rinse, rinse. I'm going to take some white over to my sienna here, and I'm going to add some of my ochre. I'm going to get this really sort of weird color. And here's the trick. I've had some yellow ochre, some sienna, and some white. I'm going to come get a little black. It gives me this really strange little gray. You'll be like, oh my god, it's zombie gray. Uh-oh. Oh, she's got it. Miss Teresa's got it. All right. Adding that highlight there. Uh-oh. So I have to go put that shadow back right there. Because I just did what I said don't do. Just come take these everywhere. Just I'm making dashes. I'm not painting solid lines. You know, I'm just trying to create the highlights. Rinse this out. Get a little bit of your black. I always add a little brown to it because I don't need it to be too black. You know. Go right under your owl with this dark, dark color. Come here. Make sure that you've got your nice shadow for the branch. Make sure I've got my nice little shadow for the bright shadow. That really helps. That makes a big difference, and that'll, you know, get people to recognize and respect what you're doing. Now I'm going to add some highlights to my orange. Some more little stuff up here. All right, so first I'm going to come in with my red here. I get a little white. This is the cad red and a little bit of white. And the reason cad red's important is because it's almost an orange already. And I'm going to just make little brush strokes around the head with that. It's light pressure. Just trying to add another little dimension of color. Oh, there's got a little cad there, a little more cad color. Wanting the orange show underneath. Yeah. Look at that. Now, rinsing this out while that's drying. I like that. Let's get a little blue and white to do the pin feathers. I'm still using this little weird square brush. You could switch to the, okay. All right, just want a nice light color. Here we go. Making these. You know, and then if you thought, oh, well, it's not purple enough, you could always come back and add more purple. It just sort of changes every time you do it. You just sort of love it. Fluffy, 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 fluffy. I'm disgruntled. Oh. Look at that. Now, one thing that I can do no matter what expression I'm going to have later is I can take a little bit of my purple, go right into my blue, make this very dark color, and outline my eye. No matter what else I'm going to do later, I want about 1/4 of an inch ring around my eye, which is nice to have space between the eyes. But you know, hey, you can draw them close together. You can draw one winking. There's a lot of eye expressions in the universe. If you go on Google, you can go eye expressions images. You're going to pull up a bunch of that. Angry eye, sad eye, winky eye. And you'll very quickly figure out that starts out with a circle. And it just depends on where you put the line. Okay. I'm going to go around here. I'm not getting any coverage, so what do I need? More water, more paint. I'm not getting any coverage. All I need is more water, more paint. So I've got that nice big eye. Okay. Now to do this sort of little sultry eye, I'm going to come to the halfway mark. I actually start my eye all the way at the outer blue line. Okay, and that's why I'm saying this is essential, because that's what gives the whole makeup look. Halfway, halfway. So we want them the same. I'm going to come across here. And then what I do is I flick all the way out to the end of the head. There you go. So that's how I get that lid. And then I can come here, paint that in, because I make a little line from my corner up to the lid. Little line. You're like, wait, what happened there? What happened there was I went out to the corner here, and then I joined the lid. Now very quickly, and this is important because I need the paint to be wet. If you're good at makeup, this part will be pretty easy for you to get into and grasp. If you haven't done makeup, just think of it as shading. It's not a big deal. I'm also going to kind of flare out this outer edge here. Not all the way to the end, but just a little bit. That's just a little touch I do. That's part of my eye expression. So while it's still wet, I'm going to get some white. And I'm going to come to the inside of the eye, about to the middle, blending with the white. All the way to the corner here. And a little more white. And a little more white. And I might add some of that out here, a little bit on this outer edge. See how I did that there? All right. So that's what we've got here. You can blend it, work it. Wet on wet technique, not just for oils. Not just for oils. Can you see that? I'm gonna do it on this side. If you didn't really get to see it on my side, no worries. Here we go. I'm gonna get some purple. I'm gonna take it over to the blue. I'm gonna mix this dark, 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 dark color. I have the flick out to the outer corner here. And then what do? I come join it to the eye, makes a little triangle, and I paint that in. Fairly thick, wet coating of paint because I want to be able to do my blend. I want to be able to do my blend. And I need the paint to be wet to do that. And then I'm going to make a little kind of blend here, but not all the way. All right. Wipe off my brush on paper towel, grab a little bit of white, come here, while it's still wet, to the corner, blend to the middle of the eye. And then all of a sudden, if you haven't been getting makeup, you're like, oh my God, I get it. And once again, YouTube teaches makeup. That's really what YouTube is for, is to teach makeup. Everything else on YouTube is just cray cray. YouTube came to teach makeup. All of us are just pale comparisons in the makeup tutorial world. We're just little squirrels in an eyeshadow land of makeup tutorials. This really is like the best place to learn how to do makeup. Okay. All right. More white, and then I'm going to come here. And I'm going to add that little bit to this outer corner. Ha 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 ha. How awesome is that? It is so awesome. Now, what I can do here is I can make my inside eye. I'm going to take just my black, just straight black. I'm going to leave about a ½ inch to a ¼ inch of eye. So I'll go here, ½ inch, ¼ inch of eye. Ooh, there's a storm. We have a lot of storms where I'm at. Later we'll have to do like eyeliner and everything here, but right now we're just getting this in. All right. So it's like this half circle, and the trick to this is just leave about that much eye to paint whatever eye color you're going to do, because maybe you're doing this for somebody in your life that has a particular eye color. Okay, at this time I might on the edge, which lets me have a very thin line. You can do it with your detail brush. I'm going to just outline my little beak here. Because I feel like it. But you could do it with your detail. You can also do your little chest part here. You do it in blue. I just like to give a little outline there. I'm going to rinse this out. All right. And while I'm at this, I'm going to do my feet. I'm going to start getting my feet in, which is just the black on the square. And how I do that is I do 2 little downward tapered lines. And then I'll highlight those. So those look a little bit like this. Okay, that's really all that is. And then I just highlight those later. Now, while I'm at this, while I'm doing stuff, I'm going to make a green. Take my yellow, come over to my blue, make a nice green. And I'm going to make little footballs. Some of them will be big, some of them will be small. See how I make them different sizes? That helps keep my tree pretty. And maybe like this time I'll pick up a little more yellow. I do not attach the leaf to the branch. It's not attached, it floats. It floats. I will show you here. It floats. It's not attached. Okay, it's like that. It's not attached. Ooh, and there goes my son telling people what he thinks. He's 4. It's a rough age. Fun age, but a rough age. And that's my 2-year-old who answers back with retribution. She's a vengeful 2-year-old. Oh my God, her siblings mess with her. She's like, I'll get you. I'll get you. And have none of that. She can scream louder and be meaner than all of them put together. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to rinse my brush out just a little bit, just to get the prim, and I'm going to go more into my yellow. I'm going to mix into that green, but more into my yellow, and I'm going to grab a little bit of white into that. And then I'm going to come into my little leaves, and I'm going to add just a little highlight. See? Look at that. Super simple. And the real crazy trick you can do if you really want to be insane is grab a little of your CAD and add a little of it to the leaf, which I did in the original and I think looks nice, but you know, some people will be like, oh, I hate it. So if you're happy with that, leave it there. So rinse, 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 rinse. All right, get that original green that you've got going over here with your yellow and your blue. Original green, get a good amount of it. Make sure there's enough water in it. Okay. Go ahead and paint in space between the eye and the lid. Right there. See that nice green? Okay. Go ahead and do that. Do that both sides. All right. Now I've got that on both sides. And then I kind of rinse my little brush out. And here's my little trick. I get a little spot with the yellow and the green, but predominantly yellow. I get a little white on there. And I've got kind of that marbled thing that we got. This is all still wet. I'm going to come from the pupil out in light little brush strokes. I let the green show through. I always have a little ring of green that I don't paint over. And then I taper it at that edge. That's cray cray! Yeah, it's the eye trick. And it's really, really good. And people love it, and it makes your stuff feel like really emotive. See that, where it's going to just taper out. Everything is still wet. This will still work if you're not going fast enough to have it be wet. And then taper it out. See, so now the inside there is shaded. And what I really have to decide now from here, before reflections, is is my owl boy, is my owl girl. I guess this is kind of gender restrictive, but like the girl I throw eyelashes on and the boy I leave here. So while I'm working that out, I'm going to just get a little bit of my white and my ochre and make a highlight and very lightly make a highlight on the inside of my little claws here. Show you how I did that. Where'd my little paper go? Like this. I dab it up and down. It's like stippling on just the edge of the brush. So it gives me a very thin line, and that gives me that highlight. Now I'm really sort of down to eyelashes, so all I can really do here is the hairdryer. Okay. I'm going to get my detail brush wherever she went. There she is. I'm going to get my black paint. All right. Now, one of the tricks I'll do, I don't know if you can see it here. I'll get my fluid, I'll mix it into my black paint. I'm painting with the heavy bodied, so that's sort of necessary. And then I roll. I don't know if you can see the roll. It allows me to get that sort of fine tip, and then I can come back up and pick a little paint up on the tip of my brush. I then, now having dried my painting, can rest my wrist on the canvas so that I can have what's referred to commonly as a bridge to do my detail work. Flick, light pressure, that's right, just like everywhere else, and this brush stroke is the longest. And then as I come in on the eyelashes, they just get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. I'm going to show you on paper separately if you're like, I'm not really sure what you did there on the palette cam. And shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And then to define them, I rinse this out just a small amount. Grab some white paint on the tip, come back, and define them. Haha. That's what separates the girls and the boys, that last little highlight. You don't have to do it if you're super happy. And you can always come back with more black and be like, no, I need more black. Another thing that you can do, if you feel like it, rinse out your brush from all the white, get some more black, is do that inside eye line. Oh yeah, back to the YouTube makeup tutorials. YouTube makeup tutorials. Tell us everything we need to know. I don't know. Some of them are really good. You know, a lot of it is going to be more for my daughter than for me. My club kid days. Not so much now. Now I'm in concierge service days. On a cruise somewhere, all inclusive. That's where I'm at right now. I don't really care for the thump 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 music and the crazy black eyeliner and all that. If you need to paint a little more black onto your eyes because of the coverage, go ahead and do that. I have a little area there. So I've got that, I've got that, I've got that. I'm going to show you in more detail here. All right, so I've got lashes right here. Can you see that? All right, come on here. Long, shorter, 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 shorter. Okay, and then you get some white. More white than that. And you can add some white to that. So that's how you get that done. That's all that is. It's not that hard. And then the final thing. Make sure you get your reflection on the same side of the eyes. You don't want it opposite because it'll stress the men out in your life a lot. They'll be like, that light doesn't do that. I don't know what you're saying. Your reflections are wrong and therefore your entire painting is invalid. So I'm going to make Nice big dot here. Nice big dot here. So right side of the eye, right side of the eye. And then I will make a nice little dot. Woo! And that is the glamorous owl. So if you had fun, if you're blown away by what you were able to do, if you're thinking you want to do more, subscribe, definitely comment, go to the Facebook page, post on there, show me what you did, tell me about it, ask your questions. For at least a little while, I should be able to get to everything and answer it, right? And I just want to see what you're doing. It's really interesting to me. I'm going to keep putting up content. I'm going to keep putting up stuff. You guys voted, got both owls. That's awesome, right? That's how much interactivity that we're doing. You can hear my kids, so you know that I get it. So I want to see you with your art supplies, your open heart, your happy soul back at this easel really soon so we can do this again. All right, bye-bye.